Hey, Gavax here. So, EA put out a blog today to talk about the playbooks and AI gameplay updates. It's a pretty big one, so we're going to break it down line by line, give my reactions, look at big words, ignore them like they never happened because we're not familiar with them. But let's go through it, right into it. So, opening paragraph, introduction. We're an English major now. A major emphasis of the gameplay team going to Madden 21 is improving all elements of our run defense. Well, that's not true. Frankly, straight up not true, because the O-line, D-line mechanic, where they impacting each other, D-line still don't get that push like the O-line can. You still see the defensive lineman almost every single down on a dive go back 1.5 to 2 yards and further even sometimes on double teams. But, double teams I'm more okay with. In doing so, we also took time to evaluate and make improvements in other areas such as formation alignment, pass coverage, and playbooks. Neat. On offense, we didn't stop with enhanced user mechanics. I don't know what to talk about with enhanced user mechanics. I'm just going to chalk it up to marketing speak because I actually feel like we got worse on because of the thumbstick for users on offense even. Obviously, it's on defense. The users got worse because that was on purpose. But the change of direction rating, I do believe, made it a little bit more clumsy with the cuts and stuff on offense. We also spent time improving AI, specifically clock management, play calling, and adjustments for AI-controlled teams. I will say, I don't know so much about the clock management and stuff, but I will say this portion was true for my beta experience, which we'll get to when we get to in the big stuff, the primary blocks of it. With the primary goal of making CPU opponents run their schemes more effectively and efficiently. See, I fucked them up. Big words. They're my freaking nemesis. Big words are the fucking Joker to my Batman, or I'm more of a Robin. But enhancements were made to many of our core play concepts to align with our goal to encourage gamers to dig deeper in their playbooks to counter the AI. We love going deep. I'm just going to leave that where it's at. QBs and the ball carriers, CPU control, got a number of behavioral upgrades that are going to tell you about today. And finally, we're sharing the details about adaptive AI and how it will give you a more authentic gameplay experience with the AI. I will say, adaptive AI, I know a lot of people were super freaked out about this happening in user games, basically player versus players and the AI adapting from there. There's basically saying, no, it's CPU adaptive AI. And from, my point is, I definitely noticed it is harder to, get to players. Tom Brady gets the ball out really quick on the blitz. But like I said, we're going to go more to that when we get the whole big kahuna right there. So NFL Live Playbooks 2.0. Basically, what they're saying in these two paragraphs is we're going to update the playbooks as they come out. They did it a little bit in 21. They say they're going to be better in 21 with adding new plays as they're played. Here's the thing about the Patriots. Recently signed QB Cam Newton. As a result, we incorporated more plays in the Patriots NFL Live playbook to account for Newton's unique skill set. Now, I don't understand. They keep making a difference between the NFL Live playbooks and the regular playbooks. I don't understand why they don't just go to one base playbook. Why do they have to keep it two? Why do they have to keep it more confusing like that? I get it. They want to be like, hey, all right, we're going to keep one standard playbook in the thing all year, and then we're going to add to this one. I don't understand why they can't just keep the NFL Live playbooks as the only thing in there and then say, hey, old playbook, sorry, you're gone. But the playbook will be basic, but then it just expands as the year goes on, right? Right now, last year, they take stuff out, right? I hate when they take stuff out and take stuff away, right? So if they just keep it basic, then that's the base playbook. And then as it expands through the year, that's not that big of a deal because you still have your base offense, base defensive stuff, but now you got more tools to work with in each playbook. It makes no sense to me why you go for two different sorts of playbooks and not just go to one and then just add to it. But, EA's going to EA, and I'm sure they have some twisted bureaucratic nonsense for why they're doing it this way. Offensive playbook updates, and I really hope they don't do that way, right? Maybe in the end, maybe they will get rid of them, hopefully. But right now, I don't know. Doesn't look like it. The beta didn't show it. While the NFL Live playbooks will evolve and receive the season-long updates, we've also made a lot of changes to the default team playbooks for Madden 21 NFL launch. The first change you'll notice is all NFL Live updates from NFL 20 have been added to all default team playbooks where applicable. Okay? So, it is what it is. And just like that, we've done previously, all teams with new head coach, coordinator, will have playbook content that reflects the schemes of those specific coaches based on resources like film study and coach interviews. They're bragging that they do homework. Nice. I do that too, right? I'm like, yeah, I did it. Don't look at my transactions from Fiverr. A contrasting example of this work is reflected like a two. Yeah, Carolina Panthers, Dallas Cowboys. Basically what they're saying is Carolina Panthers got a whole new scheme. Dallas Cowboys didn't. So Carolina Panthers playbook, especially with new Cam Newton's going to look completely different than it did in Madden 20. Dallas Cowboys, because they kept the offensive coordinator, it's going to be essentially the same. Maybe some new wrinkles. But here's a few examples of some of the new plays in Madden NFL 21. Let's go through it. This looks like these plays right here they take too long to work out, right? So this like double move, because it's so far down the field, the pass rush usually gets to you. Now in 21, the pass rush was worse than 20, but like this in 20 is basically an auto get rid of, an auto like just reroute to a streak or a post or something, or a corner if you have the hot route master. These routes, these look super interesting. This reminds me of like Madden 15 PA end around. Remember how powerful this route was? Like that like PA end around, it was essentially like rollout corners, right, in 15, but you also had this backside glitchy shit that no AI covered, no matter what zone you had out there. That was crazy. But anyways, gun trips halfback weak. They have the outside release. Generally, when they're on the line of scrimmage, they still get jammed pretty well. Off the line of scrimmage, old school fades are much better. But this one takes too long, I feel like, with this in route, instead of just going straight and then in. So that was kind of interesting. And then these two routes are really nice. I like this route from the halfback, like double drag type combo there. It's a mesh concept that generally works out pretty well. But this right here is generally not good. So I don't know. Halfback draws, they're interesting. Year to year, they change. Maybe next year they'll be good, but there's so many good things in the beta that I don't know. It's hard to judge offenses because everything was working. It was kind of crazy. PA wide receiver in, and then we've seen that one before. Red zone halfback scissors. This one was something they knew they added actually last year because who used it? Did the Chiefs use it in the playoffs and they scored a touchdown off this route? It didn't really work in Madden very well because players don't bite if you go to corners and stuff. They don't bite on the low one unless there's a glitch. Curl combo, inside zone, both normal. So those are things that were all, I don't know, red zone halfback scissors. We kind of had it. I think maybe they didn't have that in route backside last year. Maybe that's what they're saying it's new. But yeah, that was definitely something that was in the Madden 20 game. Adds an update to the live playbook. Defensive playbook updates. Basically what they're saying is like, okay, let's just go from the top. Our main goal is to blow up and act like we don't know nobody. For the defensive playbook was to make them more unique by focusing on including the primary formations that each team uses in real life. This helps ensure that our AI-controlled teams more accurately play to the strengths of their personnel while making each opponent feel unique in the approach. For example, a team may base on a 3-4 but may not run a 3-4 on their playbook. So like, I don't get what they're saying here. Are they saying like, you know, if they're based on a 3-4 but they're like a 3-4 under, 3-4 over type of approach, we're not going to give them 3-4 odd? Or are they saying in our game we didn't have teams that base out of 3-4 or 3-4 odd? I don't know. Teams that base out of 4-3 might not have 4-3 normal in the playbooks. I think what they're saying is the second part or the first part. I don't remember. Basically, I think what they're saying is, you know, they may be based out of 3-4, but they might not have 3-4 odd in their playbook because they never run it. So the thing is, like, 3-4 odd is my favorite 3-4. 4-3, I'm running 4-3 in a few years because it's been, like, underwhelming. But generally 4-3 normal or 4-3 wide are my favorite two there. Because, yeah, I mean, like, a lot of teams, they run, like, a 3-4 or 4-3 in the NFL. But really, the D-line are shifted, right? Like, we've seen an odd, under, over fronts, that kind of shit. And it's basically acting a lot alike, right? The players play very similar roles, whether they're 3-4 or 4-3, because of the gap alignment of their linemen. So, like, a lot of it is just down to, like, you know, I don't even know how to say it. Just, like, down to words. And what do words actually mean, man? Nothing. That's right, nothing. So, like, it's going to act a lot alike, even though they're definitely different in-game. Users will also have more formation and play options available for creating a custom defensive playbook. Bring back custom plays, all right? Bring it back, EA, you cowards. NFL head coach is the last one that I think remember had it for the EA series, but otherwise, like, it was an old Madden had it. God, I'd love that back so much. The new offensive and defensive formations and plays added to NFL Live Playbook. Post-launch, Madden 20 have been sprinkled around. All right, here are some of the new formations on defenses. We've seen this in Madden 20, 2-4-5 odd. You saw the 6-1, the sugar weak. Ooh, sugar, that was super. This thing was super easy to run against. Run inside zone, you had at least 10 yards. Well, maybe not 10, but you had that. It was bad because of how, like, the thing in Madden, you got to recognize, guys off the line of scrimmage are a lot harder to block than guys on it. Right? So, like, say you got, like, a 3-4 odd or something, or the linebacker. But, like, the linemen can do their job. They understand. They just down block, and then all of a sudden there's this huge gaping hole because you got no second. You got just basically third-level players to plug up those holes. And it is so easy for offensive linemen to lock on, and then you won't shed until a ball carries basically past you. So, like, it's Sugar Week's solid, but they nerf contain blitzes, so it's like, okay. Cub looks interesting. I think Cub had like some really cool cover 3 type deals. Then we're back to 6-1 even. So like these are more outside stoppers, but you do have a guy backed up there as your user. Defensive adjustment to offensive motion systems. Now, they talk a lot about the issues of players. You know, they nerfed it in a couple ways. You won't be able to, like, audible or flip more than twice without risking a offsides penalty from your offensive line or some of your players. So, like, the motion flip I-form tight strategy from last year is dead, basically. But, like, what they're saying is, you know, they're going to get rid of their hack around for it, because their defensive adjustments to motion is a lot better this year. So, I know this is all great in words, but I find over the years our ability to break Madden is better than their ability to, like, kind of say we got it all fixed, right? You know, I still feel like offensive motion, it wasn't bad. There was some very specific issues caused into it, and that it would fuck up the defense. So there's still a lot of issues to work out, but they say they're working on it. So you know what? All we can do is take them for the word. The new adjustments to motion system, taps and logic we use for the defensive auto flip feature based on the defensive play call, the type of offensive motion used. Defenses will adjust to the change of strength to maintain proper alignments and run fit gap integrity by treating the motion the same as an audible. So you can motion and it's going to be the same as an audible. I feel like we're going to break that. You get the defense to audible over and over and over just by motioning. Okay, all right. I hope it doesn't cause any stamina or formation issues with the motion. What if you motion and snap it before they're set? Is the defense in the middle of an audible? Will it get caught off guard? As long as the run fits stay okay, that's fine, but I feel like there's a little bit of buggery potential there. With this approach, getting the defensive line more appropriately, we can remove some of the motion restrictions, like the I-form tight. These adjustments motions are generally subtle, and defenses will seamlessly adapt. Generally subtle, and defenses will seamlessly adjust. In my years in Madden, with our ability to glitch out both offensive receivers switching, I like this past year, like our guards and receivers would switch spots sometimes. We were able to, like, do route swaps. We were able to get our defense to, like, accidentally run commit sometimes. There's been some pretty bad stuff, but generally and seamlessly. I hope those aren't fatal words. If a user prefers to not have the defense set to adjust the motion in this manner, they can simply turn off defensive auto flips in the front end settings. What if I want my defensive auto flip on, but my motion off? No choice for that, but you know what? We'll see how it plays when the game launches. Pass coverage. Another goal on the defensive side of the ball is bringing more balance to man coverage. I will say during the beta, man coverage was better than zone coverage. I do not like a game where man coverage is meta, because basically it's a set and forget it type system, right? There's very little user skill. It's just like in real life, man coverage is like if a receiver can beat a cornerback, and that's the skill gap, right? If I can beat you man on man. In the game, there's no skill there. It's just like, you know, have your players have better ratings and then just let them go. Right? Whereas ratings shouldn't matter, yes, but like there needs to be a lot of stuff that beats man coverage. Like wheel routes in the beta didn't work, right? Wheel routes are like, they could be the most overpowered thing if they end up beating man coverage. If they don't, then yeah, you can just man the guy up and the wheel route won't be a problem. But like, I'm a little concerned with, like, you know, some high-end defensive cornerbacks being able to beat high-end wide receivers just in man coverage, and then like your pass rush will eventually get home if you can't get separation. So as long as there are routes that beat man coverage, like if there's man coverage design beating routes, like old school fades, zig routes, slant routes, drags, that kind of stuff that you can kind of throw on the field, and like it gets advantage against man coverage, I'm fine with man coverage being good, right? But like as long as there are counters to it, I'm fine with it. In Madden 20, low-rated defenders were too successful at winning press interactions, so they're gonna make press versus release matter more. Defenders in Madden 20 can now get faked out by certain wide receiver releases. That's awesome. Allows more animation content in those situations, and will be far more separation on the line of scrimmage versus outmatched defensive backs. We also tune man coverage so that receivers have a higher route running rating versus the defender's man coverage rating with a slightly higher chance of winning on certain routes cut downfield. So like deep post patterns. I like it. Something to make them punish for running like nothing but man blitzes and presses and stuff, and like, you know, that's the thing. Like, football and great games are all about play and counterplay, and if one thing can counter another, I can do this to shut you down doing that. That's just great gaming, and I think Madden and football itself has the highest potential for like in-depth type of moves. Like it's like a chess game out there sometimes. Like, right, you move your rook, I move my bishop, you move your queen, I get checkmated, and I don't know the rules to chess. But like, I think football's the same way, right? I motion my receiver to get not pressed, and I got him on a slant, and he's getting separation. I go with an old school fade. I do a C route. Like, I do a hard cut with a guy with high, deep route running, and I get a touchdown because you man blitz me, but I pick it up with my running back and tight end blocking. That's just great stuff. And if I don't block a running back and you get a free blitzer, boom, I'm down. Like, that's just awesome. That's why I think the potential of Madden is higher than any other video game out there. And that's why I keep playing it. These principles also apply to many of the match zone coverages, such as cover 4 quarters, palms, versus trips formation. So match coverages has kind of been finicky. There are some pretty good ones. I mean, palms ended up, people like, it's hit or miss. Sometimes it'll just completely miss and let up a touchdown on just like a standard post pattern from the slot. But like other times, it locks it down pretty good depending on the route concepts. So like, I'm fine with match coverage, zone coverages being okay as long as there's things to beat them. And cover 4s, quarters, palms. I don't remember. Do those use the man rating now? Or do they use a zone rating to match up? I think it's man, but I might be wrong. I have to go back and look at Clint's. He tweeted about that during 20. But they also had general gameplay tuning, which is kind of like a big deal for. I would say like, all right, as much as we like to talk about head-to-head in Madden, and us playing other users, a majority of the Madden audience, I'd say like 80%, plays versus the CPU and just versus CPU. And even myself, who plays a lot of head-to-head, I play versus CPU and solos in order to grind stuff. So like, this is pretty freaking huge, right? This is a major change. Is basically what they're saying is, oh, actually the AI is below here. God damn it. All right, we'll skip that. We'll skip back to that. So basically what they're saying with the AI play calling and clock management change, I definitely noticed it in the beta. Like, there are some guys like scramblers. Lamar Jackson was insane scrambling on the open field against me as the AI computer. Like, he was spinning, juking, making my defenders look like assholes, just like IRL Lamar Jackson does. And Brady was so hard to sack. Even when I blitzed him, when I used the regular cheese, like I played like I don't know, but half my games versus the AI, half versus humans because there's no practice mode this year. But like in the beta, but like, dude. It was pretty good. Like, these games, I feel like we're better. Now, of course, we're going to find our ways to break it, right? So, like, I'm not going to go ahead and say, hey, AI is actually good this year, because I'm sure we'll find a play or two in order to break it to make us, allow us to grind solos better. But I don't think that's an issue, right? I don't think it's an issue to have us grind solos easier. I like that. I like us breaking it. That's one of my main goals, is allow me to grind through this content so I can get to the content I want. But they are going to, I think this definitely makes solo battles, solos, franchise mode, I think it's gonna be a lot harder, and a lot of the bad habits that we've had in past years basically like, all right, let's just send 6, hover, and then the offense, the quarterback won't do anything. Now they'll start blocking their halfback and tight end, and if you have a man blitz, then you got 2 guys. If they're not on a green dog blitz, if they're not like, some formations do it better than others, like 4-4 I think does green dog, where if you man everybody up and a guy blocks, he'll rush after the passer. It's like if they don't do that, they're just gonna sit there as QB spies, and then you'll have the offense will basically have an extra blocker, and then nobody in coverage, or the guy in coverage is doing a spy, so they're basically doing nothing. So then now you have enough time to pick apart the defense. So I think AI is gonna be a lot tougher next year, right? It's something that they I don't know, for better or worse. I think a lot of people are gonna like this though. I think a lot of people that have talked about how bad Madden AI is over the years. I mean, I'm more of a head-to-head AI guy, and the other players on the field being dumbasses. But I think a lot of the AI, at least against the computer, is going to be tougher. I truly did feel that way during the beta. At least on the defensive side of the ball. The defensive side of the ball is where I was like, wow, they are carving me up with some of this stuff. Offensive side, it was pretty easy still. Let's go back to the top here. General play tuning. So they talk a lot about, like, they talk about the gameplay deep dive. We tune the speed of many of our handoff animations, so handoffs are the same speed again. And basically, let's just go to it line by line. We also changed how block shedding works defensively in relation to handoff speed. Block sheds will be better timed to match the point at which the ball carries the handoff animation, deciding which gap to run through. So they buffed block sheds, which means there's a nerf to the run game. I don't feel like the run game, outside of players with superstar abilities, like on the interior defensive line, those guys still played really well. I don't think the run game is going to be bad. I think the run game is going to be perfectly fine again. I think dive will be the play to go to. I might be wrong because they could tune stuff, but I still think the run game is going to be a staple of a lot of offenses. But again, like, I play with regs. I didn't play with MUT squad, so that could definitely be changed in MUT. Before the snap, we updated animations used for pre-play motion, both for auto motion and manual motions. The new animations allow players to move realistically and athletically when transition from one alignment to another. The motion movements are also contextually appropriate based off the player position. So basically animation upgrades and makes the game look better. We added more variety in receiver stance animation, which account for receiver body type. So that's kind of interesting. Like taller guys maybe stand more straight up. You know, like maybe guys be more in the sprinter motion. So I think it's just a little bit more it's like the small things of the game that make it look more like the real thing. So it's cool that they're looking at the small things too. At least that's what she said. No. Along with the new stance, we cleaned up some issues, releases with the routes. This is huge. We cleaned up some issues with the releases into their routes when not being pressed to get them to the routes and downfield faster to improve the timing of the passing game. Like, you guys know, like, whenever you had, like, a streak on the outside in Madden 2018, I think 18 and 19 also had this issue. Like, they always started, like, a slight outside bend. You'd have to, like, reroute onto a streak to make them explode off the line better. Like, they're saying, hey, now we're going to get out of the stance better and actually release. So, like, that's a big issue, right? Defensive linemen will get out like that when they're pass rushing you, but your wide receiver will always be chopping feet, right? It's like a fucking kitchen when the soup's on. You know, just keep on chopping those carrots, onions, and potatoes. I lost it. Terrible analogy. So no more chopping of the feet. So they burst out of there just like their real life, unless they're pressed. You know, they chop the feet to get around them. Of course, that's realistic, but like they burst out now. I love it, dude. I love it. That's something we complain about for a few years now. Hatback, although it wasn't an issue a few years ago. So it's like an issue they caused themselves. Hatback slip screens. All right, I'm not going to go over this. Hatback slip screens, much better. They are going to be used a lot next year. Hatback slip screens, you're going to have some, you're going to have to be aware of it as a user. 100% I agree. I think these are coming into the meta. I thought halfback slip screens were good in the beta, and people are going to be using them. In addition to halfback improvements to screen passes, another new halfback addition is halfback choice routes, which we commonly use in trips formation, like gun, tray, Y, flex. These routes get your halfback involved in the passing game, allowing them to make AI-driven decisions on the fly, and even the halfback swing routes have been tuned so running out fields more away the sideline and responsive to turning up after the catch. Yeah, rack yardage was amazing in the beta. Catching the ball and getting outfield is awesome. So basically, what they're saying, these two routes, these halfback choice routes, against zone, they're going to sit down. Against man coverage, they're going to either go out, I'm guessing against some sort of like cover one hole situation, or they're going to go in against some sort of cover two man situation. So that's what I believe the choices will be. And then against, I don't know, against a cover zero, I don't know what direction they'll go, but hopefully the AI chooses the right decision and your quarterback knows which way they're going. If you got to throw it on break or slightly after break, the quarterback doesn't throw it the wrong way, which oftentimes I've seen as issues on some routes. But like we'll see how quickly they turn around because we got the quarterback inaccurate gone. So like this could be a pretty powerful route. Zone it sits down, man coverage depending on what it does works. I mean a lot of modern offenses are based around choice routes. As the quarterback and receiver reads it and they both see what's happening and they choose to go to the better spot. So cool. PA jailbreak screen receivers get up the field immediately after catch the ball, which is basically the way. Wide receiver screens is how you stop a lot of the blitz meta, right? The quarterback getting the ball out quicker this next year, and then like the ability to get upfield and make them pay for losing numbers on the edge, right? You just outflank the defense. Whereas like in previous years you had to run a bubble screen, and even then they kind of get upfield really slow in 20. But now just throw a screen. All of a sudden we got numbers on the edge, and boom, I got a touchdown because you just had to blitz 7 on a man blitz and leave like 3 receivers to be guarded by 2 guys. So guess what? 2 blockers, 2 defenders, 1 guy's free running. You either have to make a super athletic play, or guess what? I got a touchdown. Congratulations. You did really bad on defense. Speaking of RPOs, we continue polishing them after introducing them last year. All right, cool. So that works. They also made the inside zone more powerful to the weak side running game. I find like the weak side running game, it's okay. Yeah, you're making it more powerful. That's solid. But like a lot of times you'd get caught from the backside. I guess that's strong side running game. Now that I think about it, weak side running game. I don't know. Did I oftentimes run? I don't know if I ever ran to the weak side on inside zone. Yeah, most of my formations run to the strong side. At least when I was in shotgun, and I'm almost always in shotgun because I like passing, and I don't find underside pass blocking was very good this past year. Outside of like rollout corners and shit. AI play calling and clock management, we got down to it. Adaptive AI and quarterback updates. Oh, I totally did that. I totally talked about that too. Franchise and MUT solos are going to make it more difficult to exploit the AI by repeatedly running plays such as double A gap mid blitz. As long as I don't know about our crazier plays, I'm okay with mid blitz getting nerfed a little bit. But it'll be interesting to see how much they can nerf mid blitz if press is still a big deal. If press really works, they say that they took a look at that, but they also increased wide receiver release. So in the end, we'll see. We're gonna find our game-breaking blitzes against solos, hopefully. When facing pressure, AI quarterbacks will play more to the true style of play. Like I talked about, Tom Brady's crazy, and Lamar Jackson made my defense look like a fool from time to time. Like frustratingly so. Like, just fucking tackle him, dudes! But they couldn't. AI ball carrier updates. AI control halfbacks more decisive in the decision to pick a running leg and have more organic behavior in the open field. The AI quarterbacks will look to protect themselves in the ball in a realistic way by sliding the open field or running out of bounds. Did notice the AI quarterbacks doing this during the beta. I definitely did notice that. So, true. And that's the end of it. So, overall, sorry for how long this took. It was a pretty big thing to break down, and I want to go through like each line and talk about some of it's true, some of it's false, based off my impression, specifically towards the run game with the offensive defensive line mechanics and the push there. But like, I don't know. I'm kind of excited for it. I think they did a lot of little things too. The AI improvements to the computer don't really affect me a ton outside of solo grinding, but you know, I don't like the solo grind anyways. The playbook updates, I guess we'll see as the season goes along. Whether they do, like, hopefully, we're on the track to have a season still, so hopefully that happens. Hopefully they keep adding it, and I don't know. Are you guys excited? I am. I'm getting more excited for Madden as the weeks pass. NFL Live playbooks, like I said, they should just make those the standard. Get rid of the base playbooks, and just update the live playbooks through the whole year is my solution to it. But let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. Call to action. See you tomorrow.